All right, people. The link to Rumble is in the pin chat. How does everyone like, by the way, the new layout of Rumble? I like it. I did notice an extra feature that I was... Oh, yeah, I don't know if the highlighting works yet, but okay. The link to Rumble is there. We're going to talk Diamond, an evil response, at least one. We might get into a second evil response, and then we're going to get into the Twitter files. So head on over to Rumble in 3, 2, 1. Now. I think we're alone. Now, by the way, what does everyone think? Oh, hold on. Oh, don't do that. Is it too much to put this there? Yeah, it's too much because you can't even see it. I don't know who sent me this. I don't remember anymore, but I know it was a sub, part of the community. There's 4 more over there, little coasters or tiles. They're beautiful. And I went to the post office yesterday. There were treasures waiting for me. And to the person who sent me the fossils from the Wyoming formation for me to split with my children, because it's like that layered fossil. You split it and you open it up and there's a fossil inside. We're going to do it this afternoon. Oh, Peggy Bro, right before we left, says, I don't like the Rumble format. Well, I'll tell you this, though. You'll get used to it. And you'll get used to something you don't like. Change is always disconcerting, disorienting, discombobulating. So you get, I mean, like I never like the updates on my phone, but you get used to them. The layout is better, says John James, and I can read the chat better. I just don't yet know how to slow the chat, but I like it. Maximum exposure says put it over the right of the black beside the plate, like this. Oh, that's the wrong side of its mirror, like something like that. Yeah. That might be good. Okay, we're good. We're on. Format is better. People are saying good. The answer is I'll get over. It says Christo E. Fish. And Rockstar, who I think I know from YouTube, says 109 times better. So Diamond of Diamond and Silk passed away. It seems sudden, and I don't know that we know the details yet, but people who are vocal on social media and have shared information have left pieces of information that people then go back to find. She was faulted for COVID disinformation, and we're going to get into that as a concept later. Let's just read this. And you got to love the disgusting framing. Pro-Trump entertainer, Diamond of Diamond and Silk, dies at 51. Like they're writing the obituary, the media, other people, and they have to do it in a way that they think is insulting. I mean, they're not saying pro-Trump entertainer because they think it's a good thing. And when someone dies, that's the defining element of their existence. Diamond of Diamond and Silk dies at 51 would have been a respectful way of just stating a fact. The Diamond and Silk Twitter account confirmed her death after the former president announced it on his Truth Social platform. The cause was not announced. The cause was not announced, but if anyone saw Trump's tweet or whatever post, he did say her heart just gave out, and her big heart just gave out. And I don't know if that was a Freudian slip, but he said heart all in caps. If anything was meant by it, if nothing was meant by it, if it was an inadvertent or subconscious indication of what he obviously knows, potentially. Diamond of the pro-Trump entertainers, Diamond and Silk, has died. The former president, okay, they confirmed. Both women, sisters whose names are Lynette Hardaway and Rochelle Richardson, respectively, were born in 1971, with Diamond making her debut on Thanksgiving Day, according to their 2020 book, Uprising. Calling her death really bad news for Republicans, former President Donald Trump said on his Truth social media platform, our beautiful Diamond of Diamond and Silk just passed away at her home in the state she loved so much, North Carolina. Her cause of death was unknown. Trump said that Diamond's death was totally unexpected. The pair's verified Twitter account said the world just lost a true angel and warrior, patriot for freedom, love, and humanity. Asked donations to be made to the fundraiser. Oh, okay, to a crowd. Okay. In late November, the Diamond and Silk Twitter account made a plea for prayers for Diamond. It was not clear exactly why. Anyone who believes in the power of prayer, please pray for Diamond. The autobiographical Uprising. Then they get into now. From what I understood, the November incident was COVID, a bout with COVID. And then they get into a bit of the autobiographical details. The two women made a splash during Trump's 2016 campaign for president, supporting him with commentary on their YouTube channel. The duo has said they switched parties after being lifelong Democrats just to support Trump following his 2015 presidential campaign announcement. Okay, so I think that's it. They don't mention in this because here we go. No, let's see here. The pair parlayed their Trump world inclusion into contributor jobs at Fox News. Oh, yeah. We'll get back to this in a second. The network ended the relationship in 2020 after the duo bought into the conspiracy on air that COVID-19 death figures were being manipulated to make Trump look bad. Being manipulated. So is the conspiracy there that they were being manipulated to make Trump look bad, or that they were being manipulated in the first place? Were they being manipulated but not to make Trump look bad for other reasons? Or is the conspiracy theory that they were just not being manipulated? Now that we know, because the doctors, the experts, the politicians have actually since come out and said, as recently, the last time I heard it, last summer, 2022, we have to start distinguishing between hospitalized with COVID versus hospitalized from COVID. Counting a non-COVID death or a death with COVID versus a death from COVID as a death from COVID, some people might consider that to be manipulation. Whether or not it's manipulation to make Trump look bad or just make the pandemic look worse, who knows? But Dina Hinshaw out of Alberta coming out and saying a 14-year-old boy with stage 4 brain cancer who's in a coma is the youngest Albertan to die from COVID. That's manipulation. I mean, what's the conspiracy theory there? And how does one nonetheless assert that it's a conspiracy theory to say that the figures were manipulated when we had since had Kieran Moore, Hochul, can't think of any of the other people. I think Fauci as well. We need to distinguish hospitalized with COVID versus hospitalized from COVID. Here's a spoiler alert, people. It's not a very big leap to say if 2 years in, we are getting confirmation that they have been failing to distinguish hospitalized with COVID versus hospitalized from COVID. It's not much of a leap to think that ambiguity might have also been applied to death with COVID versus death from COVID. So, okay, they called it a conspiracy theory, so I guess we have to accept it's a conspiracy theory, lest we be promoting that conspiracy theory. But we've had confirmation from experts and from politicians that they were not distinguishing between hospitalized with versus hospitalized from COVID, which probably translates into the same problem for deaths. Whatever you call that. Oh, it's not manipulation because it's just a mistake. It's just the most basic mistake from the so-called experts. It's not manipulation, though. So that's the terrible news with Diamond. And where do we get into disgusting? I mean, I try to give the benefit of the doubt, and I try to read on Twitter. On Twitter, everything reads more cynically, more nastily, more seriously than it might sound in real life. It's why satire is sometimes very difficult to distinguish, to identify on Twitter, because you just don't know. You think people are being serious when they're being ironic. This is Mark Lamont Hill, who we've talked about Mark in the past. He's had some great takes on things. Temple University professor, host of BET News, AJ Upfront, and Coffee and Books podcast, owner of Uncle Bobby's, Sixers fanatic, Philly-born. I don't know what that means. I was never part of a fraternity. Well, this is what Mark Lamont Hill. Remember when other people referred to MAGA ghouls wasting no time to hypothesize that someone having a medical emergency on field might be jibby-jab related. That's MAGA ghouls. What do the Democrat ghouls do? Diamond, of the right-wing Trump-loving duo Diamond and Silk, has died. In late November, she was hospitalized due to COVID-19. I'm not sure that that's true. From what I understand, it is true, but I didn't see that in the MSNBC article. The duo was fired from Fox News a couple of years ago for spreading misinformation about COVID-19 and vaccines. You cannot script this stuff. What the hell does that mean? You cannot script this stuff. Let's just eliminate that line. Diamond, let's just set that, if there were any lingering doubts up until that line, Diamond of the right-wing Trump-loving duo has died. She was hospitalized in November due to COVID, fired from her news job for spreading misinformation. Imagine like the highlighting negative aspects of a person's history in their obituary. This would be an obituary that someone would write about someone they hate. So right up until the last sentence, at the very best, this is an obituary that a mean-spirited person would write about someone they didn't like. You cannot script this stuff. Is that, are you sort of suggesting that there's cosmic justice that's being doled out here, Mark Lamont Hill? Are you suggesting, here, look at this. Oh, but he's feigning innocence. I didn't mean anything by that. Did you script developing deep vein thrombosis and almost dying of a clot-induced heart attack after getting vaxxed? Because that fits a script a lot more nearly than this story does. That's not the one where he was saying, wow, it sounds as though you're insinuating that she died from COVID-19 and that you're taking great pleasure in that. You're absolutely disgusting. What did I say to suggest pleasure? I'm being so coy now. Here's what you said to suggest pleasure. You cannot script this stuff. That means you think someone got what they deserve or got what they were asking for because it's some sort of cosmic justice at the end of the day. You cannot script this stuff. And the amazing thing is when, let's just take this, Damar Hamlin, when he has a massive cardiac arrest on the field under the current context of which we know, coerced mandatory vaccinations for NFL, myocarditis, cardiac issues for young men in particular. You have that, and when you have people asking the question, not saying the hell that anybody would have to live in to say something like this, but not saying you can't script this stuff. The football player, you can't script, not saying there's cosmic justice, saying, I'm asking the question, holy crap, this is a tragedy. Might it be related to the thing that we know causes the thing in young men who get the thing, and even more so after the second time they get the thing? That's callous. That's insensitive. That's conspiratorial. But Mark Lamont Hill comes out and says, Trump-loving alt-right. Oh, he didn't say alt-right. Trump-loving right-wing Diamond Silk, hospitalized from COVID, fired for spreading misinformation, dies. You cannot script this stuff. You know what? The thought is gross. And you know what you can script is the callous, shameless, and truly evil exploitation of tragedy. And it's no wonder why they then, it's the word imbue, they infuse that same malice of thought and malice of spirit into other people's genuine, concerned queries. Man, just terrible. Kierdorf, $5 Rumble Man says, thank you for all you do. Kierdorf, thank you very much. My main concern is I hope I'm doing something. I know I'm screaming into the void, but I hope it's doing something and doing something productive. Nobody doesn't want to be value added. Crazy Guru 1, top 3 investors in Pfizer are Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. I don't know what those are. I'm going to display some ignorance. I know what BlackRock is. I know what Vanguard is. I don't know what State Street is. And I know what you're getting at, though. That was a $2 Rumble rant. It's just me. $5 Rumble rants is just a quick hello from your old stomping grounds, Canada. And I see some beautiful border collies in that avatar. So that's Mark Lamont Hill. And then there was another one, Poundstone. Let me see something here. Oh God, it's Jimmy Fallon's face again in my Twitter feed. What's her name? Laura Poundstone had one. It's just terrible. I just like, it's just terrible. But then these are the same people who then try to suggest the same malice of spirit into the genuine concern of others because they know it's in their own heart and they assume it's in everyone else's. Paula Poundstone. I know that name from somewhere. Paula Poundstone. I'm sorry that Diamond died, but I'm even sorrier that she spread anti-vax propaganda. Who knows how many people she killed with that message? It's just terrible. Who is Paula Poundstone, everybody? Like, why do I know that name? And why did that come up in my Twitter feed? Therese09 says, screaming into the void is fine, but picking your nose is not. Well, if picking my nose is not fine, whoever it was that was parked next to me at the red light witnessed the unfineness. Okay, so Skeptical 59 says those three manage basically all the index funds. Whiskey Horn Alta says, I lost 2 acquaintances from the jab. I try not to make too much of my own personal anecdotes, and I certainly do not disclose information that I'm not authorized to disclose from people who confide in me. I've known a lot more people. Maybe I'm living in a healthier environment where people who get impacted by COVID don't suffer the consequences that, less physically healthy individuals do. But what I've seen in my own anecdotal immediate experience, it's enough to cause me to think certain things. Okay, someone just said who said go knuckle deep? Psyop 74. I got big knuckles, but I've got big nostrils. Look at those bad boys. Okay. Scott NYC says, lost both my parents within a week of each other in 2022, and I cannot imagine the devastation of losing your parents. Like they can never be old enough, and you can never be old enough, and there can never be enough time spent with loved ones. All right, that's Diamond, and the people who call you a conspiracy theory for asking the statistically justifiable question, call you a monster, allege that you're reveling in the misery of others while they revel in the misery of others. Now, the big news, people. Twitter file dump yesterday. How is the lighting, by the way? The lighting actually kind of looks decent because the window is here and it's like blasting. And I got one light there. I got a greasy big forehead. I think the lighting actually looks better on this side. Oh, hold on a second. I'm going to change my. Oh, but so I forget to I do sponsored videos. I forget to sponsor my own stuff. Everybody. We have a wonderful community at vivabarneslaw.locals.com. There are members who are not financially supporting members, and there's over 100,000 of the non-financially supporting members who are part of the community, who participate in discussion, who see, I think that like 99% or virtually all of the content. Some of it's restricted to supporting members who get to comment and other stuff. It's a wonderful community. You can decide to support at any point if you so choose. It's $7 a month or $70 a year, and then you get access to the exclusive content. But it's a great community. You should go there and check it out. vivabarneslaw.locals.com and merch. vivafry.com. If you want to get a shirt, here, let me just see what the website looks like. vivafry.com. I like Salty Crackers merch. I wear it. And then I'm like, it's like, oh, I consistently forget to show our own merch, although I think I've been getting better at it. Look at that. Look at that couple. That's my wife. She's a doctor. I don't know if I told you that. A PhD, not an MD. She's a very smart woman. That was my hair about a year ago. This is how much my hair has grown in a year. Okay, the beard, it looks like anyways, this is it. Get Viva Barnes University. Will be wild. Politics ruins everything. Good old Honest Abe and with Barnes's face. Vivafry.com for the merch store. It's good. All right. Twitter dump. There's been another Twitter dump, and this one, speaking of conspiracy theorists, speaking of censorship, speaking of demonizing people who have been speaking the truth from the beginning, the latest Twitter files dump shows, I don't know if the guy's name is Gottlieb, shows a doctor with on the board at Pfizer. They call it leaning on Twitter to censor content, to censor posts that would suggest the, what's the word? The blasphemous thought that natural immunity confers better protection than jibby-jab immunity, whatever immunity that even provides, which is none, because we know that it doesn't prevent contracting or transmitting. It just reduces symptoms. So, oh my goodness. Sorry, I forgot to say, no medical advice, no legal advice, no election fortification advice. I'm a lawyer, a Quebec civil law attorney. I once had a discussion with someone who said, why don't you trust the experts? And I said, well, I'm smart enough to determine which experts I'm going to trust. And I'm not going to trust the experts that have lied to me. I'm not going to trust the experts that have consistently gotten things wrong. They might be smarter than me, but they might not be using their intelligence for good. I'm not going to trust an expert that lied to me. Fauci lied. Period. Full stop. You may think it was an inconsequential lie, and we're going to get into it. He lied about masks. He admitted he lied about masks. And his explanation for why he lied about the masks was basically for the greater good. We didn't want doctors to be unprepared. We didn't want to run on the PPE. So I lied and said masks were not necessary. Now some people say that was a lie of a lie because masks don't do anything. The masks on the boxes for the longest time before COVID says does not prevent against coronavirus. Those stupid little blue and white things. It said it on the box, presumably for a reason. But Fauci lied. I'm smart enough to know when not to trust somebody. I'm smart enough to know if I hear two equally intelligent people, both of whom are smarter than me, I'm intelligent enough to know which one I'm entitled to rely on and entitled to believe. Maggie Bridge 09 says, Paula Poundstone was once considered to be a comedienne. She was also a friend of Rosie O'Donnell. That explains everything. I meant nothing physical by that. I meant psychological. It's Just Me says, it just me, Nicole, on YouTube. I sent you the portrait of your dogs. I got a couple of orders from that. Hold on, Nicole. Oh, God. Hold on. Draw my glasses, my things. Nicole, I am so glad we can finally do this properly because I felt terrible, first of all, for being senile, for forgetting to do this properly. Nicole, please put your info, whatever you're comfortable sharing with 9,052 people. Put it in the chat on Rumble right now. I'm going to screen grab it, and then I'm going to put it in the pinned comment on YouTube for when I post this to YouTube. Everybody, it's Just Me, Nicole, sent me the portrait of my dogs. Look at this. Hold on, I need to see if I'm properly framed. Look at this. That's Winston when he had long hair. That's Pudge. This is on my wall in my studio. It used to be behind me, but behind me has changed. Just look at it again. Nicole, please put your info in there. It's beautiful. It should not result in just a couple of more orders. You're an artist. And I got it framed at Gemst in Montreal. You're an artist, and you captured the essence of the being of another creature, which is magic. Rob A says, Viva, your thoughts on Chrystia Freeland and her taxpayer-funded $2 billion open-ended investment in a company that doesn't exist? Dude, I was not aware of that. Screen grabbing that, and I will talk about that afterwards. Now, let me get to the bottom and see if, yeah, it's just amazing. I see a lot of the, it's Just Me, Nicole. Just share your info, and so I can post it as well on YouTube. Whatever info you want to share, so that people. Okay, talking about the dogs for too long now. Let's get to the latest. Twitter files revealing one Dr. Gottlieb, who works on the board of Pfizer, leaning into Twitter to pressure them to censor posts that suggest natural immunity confers a benefit, I don't know, at least equal to, if not objectively greater than jibby jab immunity, which I don't even know what it is. But let's read the article, because it's not just that they get caught doing wrong deeds. They get caught, and then the victimizers try to pretend that they are the victims. So listen to this. For those of you who don't know, you don't need to go read the massive Twitter thread. I mean, you go do it, because more information is always better. This is the synthesis, because it's too much for the ordinary person to digest. And I'm going to clip this, put it on Viva Clips, and someone's going to be watching this in its shorter format on Viva Clips. Massive Twitter thread yesterday. A massive Twitter space with Mario Nafal, Dr. Eugene Gu, who I think, I think I might be able to get an interview with him. We've been exchanging on Twitter, and they're talking about it. Eugene Gu, other than saying certain things which I fundamentally disagree with, still says things that I now appreciate. And I think he's waking up to the fact that the practice of medicine had been censored, which is a disservice to everyone, to put it mildly. Pfizer board member Scott Gottlieb leaned on Twitter to censor tweets which argued against vaccine passports and claimed, I would say more like asserted, more like observed, more like, stated, that claimed natural immunity was stronger than the shot, the latest Twitter file dumps revealed. Okay. Controversial reporter Alex Berenson made the claim in the latest Twitter files. So he's controversial. He's a former FDA head, turns board member at Pfizer. There's no problem. No problem there. It's a big, fat, incestuous party, and you're not partaking in the orgy. He wanted to quash a tweet critical of Pfizer shots. Berenson notes that Gottlieb, a Pfizer stakeholder, did so for financial benefit. Pfizer board member and former FDA head Scott Gottlieb used his influence to pressure Twitter to flag a tweet that cast doubt on COVID-19 vaccines, the latest batch of Twitter files show. Documents leaked to controversial reporter. Oh, they're leaked. And they're not leaked when they're provided by the company. Okay? And he's not controversial just because you say he is. A spat on my computer. Leaned on the social media company to obscure a relatively innocuous post that cast doubt about the Pfizer vaccine's effectiveness and suggested natural immunity was more effective. The tweet made by former government health official was subsequently slapped with a misleading label, despite the debate around immunity still dividing scientists to this day. You know what's funny? It still divides scientists to this day. It didn't divide scientists before the jibby jab came. It was pretty much what they refer to as a cornerstone, a basic tenet, an accepted assumption. I presume it could be rebutted, especially when you're dealing with gain-of-function tinkered viruses, pathogens. Maybe when humans start futzing around with the virus, maybe it's no longer an acceptable premise, or maybe it's a more disputable premise, but it used to be a tenet of virology that natural infection was better, or at the very least as good as, but probably better than vaccination protection. And don't worry, I've got the receipts to show it. We'll get there. The revelations are, it used to be accepted knowledge. It used to be 101. All things being equal, if you've been infected, you don't need to get vaccinated for a while because your body has natural protection. And don't think I'm saying it. Fauci's saying it. We'll get there. No, we're going to do it right now so that nobody says Viva's a liar. We're going to do it right now. What I'm saying is, if your wife has had, if she had an infection, she does not need to get vaccinated. But that was, of course, back before, there was a reason to say the opposite. This is Dr. Anthony Fauci. I don't know what year it's in, but it's got to be the 90s.
But she's had the flu for 14 days. Should she get a flu shot?
Well, no. If she got the flu for 14 days, she's as protected as anybody can be, because the best vaccination is to get infected yourself.
Stop it. Make it on a mug. The best vaccination is to get infected yourself.
Best vaccination is to get infected yourself. Is as protected as anybody can be, because the best vaccination is to get infected yourself. Because the best vaccination is to get infected yourself.
And
so if she really has the flu, she definitely doesn't need a flu vaccine. If she really has the flu,
she should not get it again.
No, she doesn't need it, because it's the most potent vaccination is getting infected yourself.
Henderson, North Carolina.
Good morning.
That was pretty.
But she's had the flu for 14 days.
That was pretty categorical. That was pretty straightforward. That was pretty concise, pretty definitive. The best vaccination is getting infected. I mean, how much clearer can he get on that? Now, let me steel man the weasel out argument. That was with the flu, and the flu shot, generally speaking, is only 40 to 60% effective. So that's only true of the flu. That's not true of other stuff. I mean, I guess the best vaccination to tetanus is not to get tetanus itself. But if someone, the best vaccination for rabies is not to get rabies itself. Okay. Is he saying then that that was only true of the flu and it's not true of a coronavirus vaccine, which doesn't prevent it getting infected in the first place? It was pretty damn clear what he said, people. It was pretty damn clear what he said. It was pretty damn clear that it was a basic tenet of virology for many, many years, up until, the speed of science started moving a little differently. What is this? Is this the article that I was on? Okay, I'm going to put that down here. Was this? Yeah, this is it. Okay, so here we go. Let's carry on with the article, just so that nobody says Viva made a statement and didn't bring the receipts from people that are smarter than him. Oh, but Viva, you're a hypocrite. Fauci's a liar, but you believe him when he says something convenient. Statements that run contrary to interests of the witness carry more weight. Spontaneous statements made carry more weight. Fauci's a liar, a proven liar. It doesn't mean that he was lying back then. He might have been, but there's plenty of science to suggest that there was a good reason for why he said what he said back then, only to change it, now for reasons with a dollar sign. Yada, yada, yada. Okay, the revelations are part of the Twitter files, a cache of internal documents and correspondence that have recently been made publicly available to a select number of journalists. Their aim is to highlight a range of censorship decisions Twitter made prior to the takeover by eccentric billionaire Elon Musk. He's an eccentric billionaire. Brett Giroir says it's now clear. Hashtag COVID-19 and YouTube. I'm just reading the tweet in the context of this article. Brett Giroir. It is now clear COVID-19, hashtag COVID-19, natural immunity is superior to vaccine immunity, hashtag vaccine immunity, by a lot. There's no science justification for hashtag vax proof if a person had prior infection. I have a question about this that I'd like to ask Eugene Gu or another doctor. CDC director at POTUS must follow the science. If no previous infection, get vaccinated. Oh my goodness, this guy's still telling you to get vaccinated if you haven't had a previous infection. But he's saying that a previous infection provides better immunity, superior immunity to the jibby jab by a lot. I've got a question. Dr. Giroir, Dr. Gu, Anthony Fauci. If someone has had a prior infection recently, could getting reinfected, respiked with whatever is in that jibby jab, could that actually cause them harm? If their body has already gone through the immunological response to infection, and their lungs, they coughed and their body had that response to fight off a virus, could getting jabbed too shortly after infection actually cause problems? Could getting jabbed within a certain time frame after natural infection cause additional problems? I've got questions. Does anyone have an answer to that? And then look at this. Well, okay. So this is in. Don't do that. No, don't do that. This is in the Daily Mail. So I didn't redact any email. I guess Scott.Gottlieb is not using that Gmail anymore. And here's an email. Dr. Gottlieb called Dr. Giroir's relatively innocuous tweet corrosive in an internal email to company higher-ups, who apparently were not made aware of Gottlieb's financial ties to Pfizer. Yeah, it's corrosive. It's corrosive to bottom lines, corrosive to profits. Oh my God. It's no matter how cynical you are still being naive. This is the kind of stuff that's corrosive. Here he draws a sweeping conclusion off a single retrospective study in Israel that hasn't been peer reviewed. But the tweet will end up going viral and driving news coverage. It's funny how truth has a way of going viral. It's a sweeping conclusion off a single retrospective study. I'm sorry, then what the hell did Anthony Fauci make the same statement based on decades earlier? An Israeli study that hadn't been made yet? What did Anthony Fauci base that statement on? Dr. Gottlieb, MD, decades earlier, or at least years earlier. What was that statement? Dr. Gottlieb is the former commissioner of the FDA under President Trump and a member of Pfizer's board of directors. My goodness. There were some questionable picks there. Documents show that I'm spitting everywhere. Documents show that on August 27, 2021, Dr. Gottlieb emailed Todd O'Boyle. O'Boyle rules. It's a joke. It's O'Doyle. A top lobbyist in Twitter's Washington office after seeing a tweet disparaging the COVID vaccines. How dare you? disparage my product. The tweet was posted by Dr. Brett Giroir, another government health official under the Trump administration, and touted the superiority of natural immunity over vaccine-conferred immunity. There is no immunity. There is no immunity. There is no immunity. At best, we now have been told that it reduces the severity of symptoms and severe COVID. There is no immunity, but we were told that they never told us it was going to confer immunity. Can you imagine the gaslighting, sucking and blowing, flipping and flopping, jumping and sitting? We never told you that it confers immunity, but vaccine immunity is better than natural immunity. They told us it would confer immunity. Joe Biden said, if you get the jibby jab, you will not get the virus. Rachel Maddow said, if you get the jab, you will not get the virus to give to others. Fauci said, if you get the jab, it will give you a protection and you won't get the virus. They said it. Then they said they didn't say it. Then they said you're crazy for thinking that they said it. Then they say that they said it again. Dr. Gottlieb, who currently has a Twitter following of about 550,000, lobbied for the tweet to be flagged as misinformation. Dr. Gottlieb said in the email the language could prove to be corrosive, yada, yada, yada. And even though Twitter could not prove outright that the tweet was in violation of its misinformation policy, it was slapped with a misleading label anyway. Dr. Gottlieb himself never requested that the label be tweeted as such, just lamenting that the corrosive... Dr. Gottlieb himself never requested that the tweet be labeled as such, just lamenting that the corrosive message would wind up driving news coverage in a negative way. He never told me to take it down. He never told Twitter to remove it, because anybody who writes like this is a 12-year-old child who thinks that corruption in today's day and age consists of a guy coming in with sunglasses and mobsters next to him with a briefcase full of cash and goes up to Twitter and says, Twitter, here's $50,000 for you to flag that tweet. Oh, Twitter, here's how you have to label that. Oh, I never told them what to do. I just told them it would be corrosive. Corruption is not a briefcase full of cash anymore. It's the wink of an eye. It's the nudge of an elbow. It's an open-ended statement that the interlocutor or the recipient knows exactly how to finish. I didn't tell them to flag it or label it as such. I just told them it would be corrosive. They knew what to do. That's how insidious corruption works. This is not the mob, although they operate like the mob. They operate with institutionalized corruption, insidious, undetectable corruption that doesn't leave writing and doesn't leave cash. I never told them what to do. They just knew what to do because we have shared interests, and that's how it works. Mr. Berenson argued that Dr. Gottlieb's motivation for quashing the tweet, which cast doubt on the necessity of vaccines, was financial. In saying that natural immunity through prior exposure to the virus was superior to that conferred by vaccine, Brett Giroir was placing Pfizer's sky-high profits in jeopardy. Dr. Gottlieb's financial ties to Pfizer were not flagged in internal emails regarding the tweet. He was, what does it say here? He was spoken about by execs at the social media company as the former FDA commissioner, but not a Pfizer stakeholder who would be affected by waning vaccine uptake. Who are these people? Is that what Berenson looks like? He looks like an actor. In his Substack post, Berenson wrote, by suggesting some people might not need COVID vaccinations, the tweet could raise questions about the shots. Besides being former FDA commissioner, a CNBC contributor, and a prominent voice on COVID public policy, Gottlieb was senior board member at Pfizer, which depended on mRNA jabs for almost half of its $81 billion in sales in 2021. Who bought that stuff? Oh, yeah, that's right. Our governments did. Pfizer paid Gottlieb $360,000 for his work that year. Berenson, a former New York Times journalist and prolific novelist, as Robert Barnes has consistently reminded us, has become one of Twitter's most high-profile vaccine skeptics. One of his hot takes got him temporarily banned from the platform last summer. The tweet in question said, it doesn't stop infection, true, or transmission. Now we know that to be true. Don't think of it as a vaccine. Think of it as, at best, a therapist with a limited window of a therapist. I mean, I think they meant a therapeutic, with a limited window of efficacy and terrible side effect profile that must be dosed in advance of illness. And we want to mandate it. Insanity. Think of it as a therapeutic. I know that's not how you spell therapeutic. Think of it as a therapeutic, but don't take Alex Berenson, that weird dude, that eccentric. Don't think of it as now. Oh God, that's me. I'm at a hotel there. Where is the video? Oh, son of a beasting. Once we've tried to discredit Berenson based on credentials, don't listen to him. Listen to Dr. Karen Moore in a tweet that I love going to.
Everybody, instead of saying it's a personal decision.
In a tweet that I love going
because
to.
at present we're doing a risk-based approach.
What's the risk?
What's the risk?
There's always a risk to having any therapeutic, to having any therapeutic.
I had to
versus
highlight
a
it.
benefit. You want to make sure there's a very strong benefit versus the risk. If we're an 18-year-old healthy individual, the risk to getting hospitalized if we have no medical illness is very, very low. We know there is a risk, a very small risk, 1 in 5,000 that may get myocarditis, for example,
I don't know why the audio clipped. It doesn't matter. A very small risk, 1 in 5,000, which we now know to be more than that per dose. But when we see young athletes having massive cardiac issues on a field, and we ask the question, we are insensitive bastards, relishing in the misery of others, promoting conspiracy theories, as opposed to just asking the understandable questions, context provided. So that's what Gottlieb is alleged to have done. I mean, that's the tweet. This is how Twitter used to work. Infiltrated by FBI, infiltrated by intelligence, infiltrated by government with back channels to, flagging, removing posts, and now being influenced by the financial interests of Big Pharma. Do you know what that is? That is the actual, I believe it literally, in the literal sense, the definition of fascism. You have government, big tech, big pharma, working hand in hand to suppress accurate information, to promote government narratives, government agendas, and big pharma financial interests at the expense and with the blood of the citizens, proverbially speaking, although not according to some. That is the latest on the Twitter files. And by the way, it's just me. I got your email. I saw it now, and I'm going to share that everywhere, but thank you again. So that's the latest for the Twitter files. What they've revealed now, I mean, just to summarize, intelligence and government entities getting involved to suppress free speech on the Hunter Biden story. Preventing the free flow of accurate information that would have impacted the outcome of the 2020 election while they accuse others of election interference. That was one. Holy crap! I was like, there's the Hunter Biden laptop, censorship. Dude, I can't even remember all of them. It's a problem. We need Elon Musk to do a summary. So that's what Gottlieb's role in all of this is, and we want to be fair to everybody. We want to be fair to everybody. Gottlieb came out on Twitter in an attempt to defend himself. Where is it? Scott Gottlieb. Here we go. He came out on Twitter yesterday with a thread, and his thread basically consists of deflection, ignoring the issue, and then portraying himself as the victim in all of this. In the past, I've raised concerns with Twitter related to the safety of me and others, and threats being made on the platform. This included direct as well as specific threats. Sometimes it included statements that I believe were purposely false and inflammatory. How do you follow these flipping things? The selective disclosure of my private communications with Twitter stokes the threat environment. So does actions that empower people who've shown little restraint when it comes to purposeful vitriol. Oh, we're not allowed having vitriol anymore. Can't say, you can't, no more freedom of speech. I mean, you weren't free to share accurate information under Gottlieb's leaning on Twitter. Why should you be free to share anything else? It instigates more menacing dialogue with potentially serious consequences. If the goal of the Twitter files is transparency, here are some of the private emails I had with Twitter related to threats and safety, which weren't released and which I repeatedly highlighted in my communications with the platform. Safety remains an existential concern for Twitter. I have no doubt it remains a concern. And I have no doubt you were getting some serious backlash. Backlash which probably crosses the line in some examples, in some instances. But here's some emails that I shared with Twitter related to threats and safety, not related to the truth of what's being alleged here, that I censored information that might very well have caused people to be injured. The question is this: there's two angles here. There's two forks in the road. Anybody who had natural immunity and would not have needed to get the jibby jab, who might have been compelled, coerced, or pressured into getting the jibby jab and suffered an adverse reaction, but might not have had this information not been suppressed, but actually been welcomed by the medical community and policymakers. Oh, I'm sorry if I can understand people being very angry that their well-being was compromised because a Pfizer exec wanted to censor accurate medical information to ensure profits. I can understand that some people would be livid, to put it mildly. What we've seen there is censorship that could reasonably have injured people who did not need to get the jab had proper policy been enacted after proper discussion of accurate medical information. Flip side is people might have also gotten potentially injured from getting jibby jabbed too soon from natural infection, where their body is still responding. It might be compounding the effects. But you're the victim because as a result of this disclosure, people are angry with you. No doubt you shared emails relating to threats and safety. No doubt. And no doubt you were getting serious backlash. And there are things that are unjustifiable that people should not say, even in the heat of it. But when you usurp people's bodily autonomy, I mean, it's like the line from Pulp Fiction. I mean, you had to expect a reaction. You know, remember the scene where he's talking about giving, Jules is talking about massaging the big boss. What's his name? You gave him a foot massage. You gave his wife a foot massage. Yeah, that doesn't give him the right to throw the mother effer out of a roof, effing up the way the effer talks. I mean, there was a lot of F words in that movie. And Jules says, did he overreact? Absolutely. Was his reaction improper? Absolutely. But you had to have expected a reaction. Okay. What do you think people are going to do when they discover that financial interests trumped their bodily autonomy and their well-being? They're going to be angry. And that's the thread. So in all of this, where Gottlieb tries to depict himself as the victim of the backlash of his wrongdoing, doesn't negate, doesn't contradict, doesn't even respond to the wrongdoing in the first place. What was I'm looking at Marcellus Wallace. Thank you very much. Your eyes in 3030. I mean, he must have expected a reaction. I would play that clip, but I don't, some copyright holders are a little more trigger happy than others. Do we have any more on that? I don't think we have any more on that. That's the latest dump, and we've been hosed. We've been hosed. Jan Jekelek. Who is this guy? I know this guy. A lot of flags there. Epic. Oh yeah, okay, that's right. Epoch Times show host, Cash's Corner. Of course, I know this guy. Okay, fine. Finding Manny, Holocaust documentary producer. He put out a tweet. This is just, Pfizer board member who used the head of the US FDA lobbied Twitter to take action against post, accurately pointing out that natural immunity is superior to COVID-19 vaccination, according to emails released today. And we've seen that. Yeah, but they're going to get mad at me when I find out how much I've stolen from them. Oh yeah, that was my response to Mark Lamont Hill. Forget it. Forget about it. Okay, let's just go to my, there's a couple more articles. Let me see this. Okay, we got this. Yeah, we talked about this. This is questions about CTV's response to the on-air medical emergency. Oh, here, Project Veritas. Don't get
Chris
angry.
Croce is a
Don't get angry at Pfizer when you find out how they've been screwing you, playing with your bodily autonomy and risking your well-being for their financial profits. Let's just leave here.
Chris Croce is a senior associate scientist with Pfizer. He goes on to explain a test that is currently taking place at Pfizer, not to determine the effectiveness, but to see if it is leading to heart attacks.
I'm glad you didn't get any myocarditis. Because that's a concern, right?
No, more so for younger people.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I thought that was not allowed asking that question.
That's what we're looking into right now.
Oh, cool.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's what we're looking into right now. I'm sorry. Then, in virtue of what have you been assuring us it was both safe and effective for everyone? One size fits all. Oh, what's that? You have a size 12 foot? Jam it into the size 6 shoe. We're all wearing size 6 shoes, people. I don't care what size your foot is.
Yeah, so, we just sent like 3,000 patient samples to get tested for like elevated troponin levels. To see if it's vaccine based or so.
What's it look like?
I don't know. We just sent that over this past week.
Oh, just this past week. I'm sorry. We've been mass vaccinating for the last 2 years. We just sent it over this week. I don't know if this is from a year ago or I think this is recent. This is recent. So no, we've just sent it over this past week. But we're still pushing it. We don't know. But take it. Shut up and don't ask questions when you see young males having cardiac issues, which we don't know.
And the last batch will be sent over next week. All external testing. We'll see. Hopefully it's good.
Well,
Because I mean, if not, then my opinion, that might pull something from the market.
It's amazing. Well, today's theme, no matter how cynical you are, you're still being naive. We're just doing those tests now. After mass vaccination, after Obama eloquently put it, clinical testing on the global population. 2 years in, now we're just testing for these minor little things. These minor little things. Okay, well, that is actually it for the COVID files. Let me see what we got in the chat here. I saw that video at least a year ago. That says skeptical. Skeptical 59 says, I saw that video at least a year ago. Tits and ray guns says, jamming a size 12 into a size 6 is how. Come on. Well, I have to read the whole thing before I start reading it. It's going to get me in trouble here. Jack Burton 1 says, don't forget Antifa held rallies for pro-mask and jab mandates. They are your enemy. Crash Bandit says, we will have long-term data in 5 to 10 years. That's typically how it worked. I remember being invested in a company called, like, I bought the stock. It was a Montreal pharma company. And they were testing adjuvants. And I remember every time they announced another 2-year delay, the stock would drop like 50%. Another one of my wonderful picks. All right, so that covers it for that. Let me see here. Teresa B. Kind says, my son's heart almost beat out of his chest after the needle. On yesterday's COVID space, Twitter space with Mario Nafal, Answers for Sean was talking. It's just heartbreaking, and there's so many. There's just so many. Okay. I'll go back to the chat and see if there's anything in there afterwards. Now there's a couple of things which you probably want to hear about. The madness, the absolute madness of the world we're living in. No matter how, I'll stop saying it. No matter how cynical you are, you're still being naive. This is Peel Regional Police. Peel is an area outside of Toronto. Peel Regional Health. Once upon a time, for those of you who have been here for 2 years, I remember doing the video on the lake at my parents' cottage, where Peel Regional Health had handed out a flyer saying that if your kid came in contact with someone who was COVID positive, that you'd have to quarantine that kid for 10 days, as young as 5 years old. And when there was the outcry or the backlash that there should have been, they said, "Oh, it was a messaging mistake. It was a communications error." As in, we accidentally said something on purpose that was true, but we didn't realize it was going to get such blowback. And I said, anybody who isolates their kid, not just for exposure, For COVID itself, like you don't send your kid to school, you stay home until you're healthy. Any parent who brought life into this world to then lock that kid up in a room because the parent is scared of getting the jibby jab, the Rona. You should not. Maybe you should have you should rethink your decision to have kids, although it's too late, and rethink your. But any parent who isolated their kid because Peel Regional told them to isolate a kid if they came in contact with someone who tested positive, institutionalized government-sanctioned child abuse. Full stop, nothing less. That's Peel. That's Peel for you. Peel Regional Police actually put out this tweet: man arrested for attempted murder while already on release for attempted murder. Why the hell is Peel Regional Police giving a headline to a story that you would expect the Babylon Bee to give to the story? Is that, oh, hold on, my tweet. Finally, hold on a second. Meanwhile, Tamara Leach, Pat King, Chris Barber, locked up for months in pretrial detention on nonviolent mischief charges. Let's just see what some people had to say to that. Good meme, okay. They're white, okay, disgusting. Didn't Tamara get bail? Yeah, after, I don't know, a few weeks the first time. Pat King was in there for 5 months, I think. Exactly. Those were federal offenses, that's why. I think attempted murder is a federal offense as well. Oh yeah, they should be. There you go. Govern me harder, daddy. Let's just go read the article. Man arrested for attempted murder while already on release for attempted murder. I mean, the Peel police have to be releasing it drafted this way to draw attention to the insanity, to call for legislative reform. They have to. I mean, there's no other explanation for that header, which reads like a Babylon Bee article and not a police press release. Do we care about the story? Investigators from the 11th Division Criminal Bureau have arrested a 22-year-old man with a history of violence for attempted murder following a December shooting in Mississauga. On Wednesday, there were shots fired. Detective identified the shooter as Elijah Simpson Sweeney. A warrant was issued for his arrest, and with the assistance of the North Bay Police, that's north of Toronto, and the Ontario Provincial Police, he was arrested Wednesday, January 4, 2023. Elijah Sweeney, of no fixed address, has been charged with the following 6 criminal code offenses: attempted murder, ×2. Assault, ×2. Chokes, suffocates, or strangles. Criminal harassment. Held for bail, yada, yada, yada. Released, attempted murder while on bail for attempted murder. But political prisoners get locked up for 5.5 months. Pat King. 59 days total for Tamara Leach over 3 different stays, or 2 or 3 different stays in jail. There's enough room there for prisoners, people. No room for prison reform there. And a history of violence. Maple syrup 1, 2, 3. Eh? Yeah. So that's meanwhile in Canada. What else is going to, I say fun from a cynical perspective? No, I got the video. Why did I pull up Chuck Schumer? Chuck Schumer. Everyone must stand up and condemn the attack on Brazil's Congress, presidency, and Supreme Court. We stand with democracy and with the people of Brazil against the demagogues who deny election results. Why did I bring that up? Chuck Schumer's an idiot. I mean, that must have been the reason. Bunch of hypocrites. Hold on, my mustache. Okay. Then there's one more article, courtesy of Mark Elias, highlighting what is a serious problem and not something to be proud of. So Mark Elias posted a highlight, or shared a clip from this article from Town Hall. His clip reads, Carrie Lake could not find election attorneys to represent her suing over the botched election because they were too terrified of the bar. In contrast, the left was represented by the most powerful progressive election attorneys in the country. Now, Mark Elias, it's true, just quoted it without comment. So it's not, maybe he disagrees with it. Maybe he thinks it is a problem that lawyers have been intimidated out of representing clients vigorously because of the political weaponization of the licensure, of the bar societies, of the professional orders. Doctors no longer are able to give free medical advice for fear of losing their license. Maybe it was a critique describing fascism while portraying it as democracy. was my observation. But let's just read the article because it is just a sign of the times. To be read, apparently Town Hall is right-leaning. I have no idea. Get out of here. I'm not buying it. A lot of scrutiny is on Maricopa County's Rhino's leadership due to the botched 2022 midterm election, where 4 Democrats strangely allegedly won Arizona's top races, despite 3 of them being well behind in the polls. Nothing weird there. Despite one of them being the Attorney General. Well, not the Attorney General, the state Attorney General. Yeah, Katie Hobbs was whatever her position. Despite Katie Hobbs' candidate supervising her own election. Yeah, it's amazing. These polls, it's just shocking. On election day, there were massive problems. We covered the Kerry Lake trial during the 2 days. Maricopa County Supervisor and Recorder have adamantly defended the integrity of the electoral process, despite hundreds of thousands of misdemeanors and countless anomalies, which all coincidentally happened to favor the Democrats, violating the law of large numbers. Okay. Where was the part that I wanted to bring it to? They highlight some corruption. When it comes to Maricopa County supervisors, much of their funding comes from the real estate industry. If you look at their campaign finance reports, it's a who's who of the home builder, developer, and other wealthy related interests. Many previous supervisors have come from that industry, contributing to why they developed the reputations as rhinos. That, and apparently Richer, the recorder there, lied under oath about having had an involvement in a PAC that was opposing MAGA Republicans. Okay, let's see here. Supervisor Bill Gates is a member of the State Bar of Arizona. So with all the conservative election attorneys targeted with bar complaints around the country, it was clear why he came out loudly denouncing any election integrity efforts. Because they can come for your license if they don't like what you're saying or on behalf of whom you are saying it for. That bar has a reputation for going after conservative attorneys worse than any other state bar in the country. Gates also served as on the board of multiple nonprofits, yada, yada, yada. Maricopa County Recorder Stephen Richer, he's the one who was testifying from Jupiter Village in Florida, I think, during the trial, is another member of the bar. He apparently wanted to impress the bar so much with his stance asserting there is no voter disenfranchisement that he started a PAC for GOP election fraud deniers. The bar doesn't care that it appears to violate ethical rules by supporting candidates in elections he oversees as recorder. What some legal experts say is a conflict of interest. Kerry Lake could not find election attorneys to represent her suing over the botched election because they were too terrified of the bar. In contrast, the left was represented by the most powerful progressive election attorneys like Mark Elias. He proudly champions election integrity lawsuits around the country. I'll share that on Locals so you can all get that. Did I just shut down the stream? No, I didn't. And then you have some people saying, well, of course it makes sense. Why shouldn't they be sanctioned for filing frivolous lawsuits? That's the new democracy. Sanction attorneys for representing their clients. Norm Pattis, Alex Jones's attorney in Connecticut, Judge Bellis sanctioning him. A suspension of his law license for 6 months because of an inadvertent accidental disclosure, from what I understand, at least from what Barnes has mentioned, was a link provided to other counsel in the lawsuit, other plaintiffs' counsel in the lawsuit, not like disclosed to the public, like social security numbers of Trump allies and Trump supporters and Trump witnesses, like the January 6th committee just did, following the end of their kangaroo committee of a committee. No sanctions for them. Alex Jones attorneys, sanctioned. Dershowitz represented Kerry Lake, sanctioned. Hey, oh, well, who would have thunk that weaponizing the licensure, the bar societies, the professional orders would have an effect of silencing, deterring free and fair representation? Who would have thunk? So it's almost by design. Did I miss a Rumble rant here? I think I just saw one. $1 Rumble rant. Oblividan says, Chuck Schumer always reminds me of Grima Wormtongue. Grima Wormtongue. He exudes sliminess. I agree with the exuding sliminess. I don't know who Grima Wormtongue is. I have to go look that up. I might not do that in real time. And there was one more Rumble rant. Oh, there we go. That I missed it. It's Chet Chisholm. You should pull this up to show everyone, Viva. Oh, we have lots to talk about. I'm going to call you after the show. Do I want to pull this up? Let me see. Not that I do. Oh, God, I've been forgetting the locals chat. Pam Walker says, good grief, made me furious. Pam Walker. Haha, David. It just makes you want to scream, doesn't it? The lies are so incredibly frustrating. And I lost it there. There's been a chat going on at Viva Barnes Law. There's been a chat going on the entire time. It looks like how many people we have here? We've got 50 plus people in the chat. Who were the two experts Viva listened to when he decided to get the C19 vax? That is coming from Anita Y in the locals community. Oh, yeah. View all, view tipped. Here we go. It says, good grief made me furious. And Pam Walker, $1 tip says, haha, David, it just makes you want to scream, doesn't it? The lies are so incredibly frustrating. That is what it's like to live with a true narcissist. Now you got to keep, and you try to keep track of the lies. It's like, and it's an impossible feat. Oh yeah. So Chet Chisholm, I got distracted. Let me see what the link is that you sent. Oh, here we go. Oh, it's a government website. CARES. It's like VERS. It's just the Canadian. No, not that one. Adverse Event Report Findings. Here we go, Chet. And I'll call you in about 30 minutes. Adverse Event Report. This is Canadian Adverse Event Reporting System. Looking at the header, looks right. Let's just see something here about CARES. We provide a safe place where individuals can be heard and their experiences documented in a secure, confidential manner. Oh, so is this a federal website? I'll have to see what this is afterwards, but let's just back up and see what you wanted. Adverse Event Report Finding. CARES is collecting data from individuals who perceive that they have experienced an adverse event related to their inoculation with the jibby jab. This is not a government website. At the present time, CARES cannot know for certain if a specific event that any individual reported as an AE is in fact an adverse event. Okay, so we already know how everybody who does not want to believe this is going to be able to weasel out of it or explain it away. No verification. People have written off VERS. You want to talk about the peak intellectual dishonesty? People have written off VERS as being meaningless because anybody can file a report, when VERS was enacted as a signal detector specifically for that reason. Once people have written off the very government entities that were created for the purposes of measuring that which they were created to measure, they've written them off because anybody can file a report under penalty of perjury. Nobody's seeking the truth. They're seeking reassurance for the decisions they've already made. Adverse event by age. So I presume this adds up to 100. So of 100%, 25% of the adverse events reported are in the 40 to 49 bracket. Let me do some quick math here. My goodness, who would be vaccinating a 0 to 4-year-old? 2.5, 8, 25, 50. Okay, 80. Yeah, that's about it. Okay. All right. Well, that's it, guys. You can go to CAERS and read about it. And I'm going to read about it afterwards and talk to Chet Chisholm. All right. I think we've done it, people. Let me see. Let me just see in the backdrop. Is there any other story that I was going to bring up that I have not brought up? Okay, that's Fauci. We've already got that. Know the Fro merch. Sorry, hold on. That's not what we want to do. Get that out of there. No, I think we've done it, people. We've done a great. Infuriating. It's good to let it out in a respectful manner. You know, it doesn't have to, in a non-violent, non-threatening, legal manner. Let it out in a legal manner. Period. Respectful. People apparently consider asking the obvious questions to be disrespectful. Respectful, I believe, is the way to do it. Reveling in the misery. Oh, you couldn't script this better. The anti-vaxxer misinformation. Pro-Trump right-wingers, she got what she deserved. The Cosmos couldn't have scripted it better. And we'll see what the cause of death was. Now we're good. We're good. So everybody, let's leave on we're going to leave on a white pill. First of all, I've got some great videos to upload to Viva Family. I put a funny one up on Twitter and in locals. I befriended a pelican. That's what we're going to end this on. But what we're going to end this on is not giving into despair in as much as anybody wants or is tempted to give into despair or apathy. I once discussed something with someone that said, like, reacting angrily or out of frustration is not a sign of not caring. it's actually a sign of caring. When people don't care anymore, it's resignation. It's do not resign yourself to the forces of the time, but also do not let them turn you into the monster. Like I you know the way I feel about this. Victory at all costs is not victory. Becoming the monster that you are battling is not success. So righteous indignation, righteous anger, useful anger, and not threats, not harassment, not breaking the law, not being tempted to break the law, not being tempted to become the monster that you're battling, and not being tempted to do anything that would give the monsters that you're battling the fodder, the pretext, the excuse they need to continue the abuse, because you can't be controlled. You can't even control your own actions. Keep conducting yourselves in a manner that would make your parents, your children, and your pets proud. Hold on. Punch. Let's do this. Okay. This. Okay. Here is Pudge. I'm covering her butthole so that there's no poop. This is Pudge. She's good. I feel something clenching. Okay. I have to go wash my hands. That Pudge is good. She's alive and well. She's in the office. The office now is the quietest, most insulated spot in the house. So, an expression that I came up with, and I think it's insightful. In the end, all that you have is that which you leave behind. Make sure what you leave behind is something to be proud of, something that other people are going to be grateful to have been a part of. I've got another expression, which I think is an original thought. Heaven and hell are the same thing. It's an eternity of hearing what people say about you in your absence. So make sure, in as much as possible, I mean, you can't control what willfully dishonest people are going to say. Good faith, honest people, what are they going to say about you in your absence? And imagine hearing that echoing throughout your head for an eternity. It is both heaven and or hell, depending on how you've conducted your life while here. So be good, stay good, and don't give in. With that said, people, hold on, let me just go to the chat and see what's going on there. Yeah, it's time to squeeze the Pudge. Pudge fudge. Oh my goodness. Anyone who makes chocolate in the chat, find me on Locals. Pudge fudge. Not trademarked, copyright. That it's been created. Pudge fudge. It's going to be chocolate in the shape of poo, and it's going to have Pudge's face on it. Pudge, damn it, I just gave the idea away. Pudge fudge. With that said, let's share the screen and have a little white pill. Man's interaction with nature.
All right, are we going to be friends?
Pelicans are beautiful. And I was at the pier, and there was a pelican who was looking for food, and I didn't have food. Plus, I know you're not allowed feeding the pelicans. So I instead just had a moment, and it was a beautiful moment. Enjoy it, people. Links, you know what to do, all the stuff. Sorry, just to let everyone know. Brett, geez Louise. What the heck is my problem? Glenn Greenwald, it might not be tomorrow. It might be Thursday. We'll see, but stay tuned. Tomorrow night, we've got a sidebar, and Friday, we might have an in-person interview at Locals. Stay tuned. So all good stuff. With that said, everybody, enjoy the day. See you tomorrow. Peace.
All right, are we going to be friends? Just want to say hi. It's okay. No, you don't have to go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. I'm just going to waddle. I'm going to keep following you just casually. Just like, there you go. Oh, it's okay. And just like that. Here, how you doing? Yeah, you're a beautiful animal. You are a beautiful animal. Now I'm going to just, oh yeah, look over here. So how often do you come here? What's up? How you doing? You're amazing. You know that. He knows it. Your beak is amazing. Your eyes are amazing. The way your head turns around 180 is amazing. You're looking at me. We've made friends. We have crossed the barrier of man-animal. What do you say? You know, I think we're actually having a moment right now. I'm David. I'll call you Perry. Perry the Pelican. I don't think you like the name Perry. This will be peak man-animal friendship when I can pat the pelican on the head. I'm going to pat the pelican on your head, just like this. Just like that. Yes. I'm actually quite happy right now. Okay, just going to go right here. Yes. Oh, watch out for the fishing line. Actually, let's just throw this out. Oh, it's in poo. Okay. It ends when I pat you on the head. I did it. I did it. We're friends now, and I love you. Okay, you can go. Go. Have fun. That's it. Yes.